Hey everyone, I hope everyone's having an awesome day. Today's Wednesday, so we're about to get started with the second half of the week. We have an interview today. I'm going to be interviewing someone really special to the surfing world. Her name is Mimi Miller. She's an author, an editor, a producer, and we're going to talk about some of the projects that she has worked on, and she provides so much motivation. So we're going to get her logged on here, so give me just a moment.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Uh,
Loving this warm weather. This is my kind of weather.
yeah, what's the temperature where you're at?
Uh, I think about 81.
Oh, that's perfect.
Are you in NorCal?
Yeah, I'm in NorCal near Sacramento.
Uh-huh.
So it's actually been really pleasant the last few days. Last weekend it was 109, so
Wow.
yeah, a little hotter than 81. So I went to the coast. I went to Santa Cruz on Saturday, and it was 80, 81, so it was perfect.
Wow. 109. You know what's interesting? I actually like the warmer temperatures. Anything between, well, I think 1088 to 105 is like temperatures that agree with my body for some reason.
Yeah,
So when it's like 60 degrees, because usually the beach is like 60 something degrees, I'm like, come on already. At least give me 70.
yep, I agree completely.
Is that near the coast? That's 109?
We're like an hour and a half inland from San Francisco.
Okay.
So San Francisco was like mm, low 70s.
Okay.
So, and then it was
Yeah.
a little warmer down the coast in Santa Cruz. But yeah, just within that hour and a half distance is like a
Right.
30 to 40 degree difference in the summer a lot of times.
Yeah. That's how inland here too is probably in the hundreds as well, because I know when I'm driving, um, north toward Ventura, it's the temperatures are so drastic. It's like 60 here, and as you're traveling, it's 70, and then it's 85, and then it's 90, and it's like this is crazy. Within 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's it's amazing. I used to live in Fresno, so Fresno was a lot different than here in Lodi. We have the Delta going
Hmm.
towards the bay, and so
Oh,
we have a breeze that comes off of the Delta almost every evening. So even when it's 109 here in Lodi, that Delta breeze will come in the evening and it'll
hmm.
cool things down. But growing up in Fresno, Fresno doesn't have any kind of Delta, so it just stays.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I was looking over your website and the bio and the video, and it was all super inspirational. It was
Thank you.
all the things that you've accomplished in your life to this point has been really inspiring.
Thank you. I try. I've always believed in constant and never ending improvement ever since I was in my 20s. So I'm always trying to just be in competition with myself.
That's the best
I'm
thing.
very competitive with myself. Nobody else but myself.
That's great. Yeah, constant improvement. That's something that I'm working on as well, and it definitely has made a big difference. So I read that you grew up in Michigan, and
Hmm.
then you moved from Michigan to LA.
To Vegas.
To Vegas. Okay.
I went from, yep, Detroit to Las Vegas to here 10 years ago. And that was because I was raising children and I didn't feel comfortable uh, coming straight to California with 3 children. Because especially with Detroit's economy, it's a huge difference in coming to the West Coast and having children. So that was like my midway point. And yeah, and then after I raised them and made sure I moved them out of Vegas first, and then I came here last. And that was 10 years ago. So I'm practically a local, right? 10 years?
Yeah.
Am I considered a local now? Can I officially say I'm
Yeah.
I'm a native
I think
or
that
no?
I originally grew up in Oregon, and
Uh-huh.
then we moved to Fresno when I was 9, and I lived in Fresno for, I don't know, from when I was 9 to 5 years ago.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, like 14 years. And then I've been in Northern California for 5 years.
Wow. How do you like it?
I love it up here. It's basically the region I live is a secondary wine country to Napa.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of beautiful locations. And then it's super centralized. So
Hmm.
we're, within 2 hours,
Uh-huh.
2 hours from Santa Cruz and San Francisco and
Oh, that's
Sacramento,
fantastic. Yeah.
and so all of that. And then the mountains are only a couple hours away as
That's
well.
beautiful. I love traveling up and down the coast. I've only been northern to NorCal maybe twice already, so I have to travel more. I
Yeah,
try to travel as much as possible, like at least once a month, and go somewhere different and just keep exploring because California is beautiful. It's beautiful here. And I'm always surprised when I meet people who've lived here all their life that have like never taken a trip up, or like I'll get DMs all the time like, what beach are you at? And I'm like, aren't you from here? What is going on? You know?
yeah, yeah. There's so many, um, like beautiful small beaches that I've never even heard of, and definitely have never been to. You literally have to just drive up and down the coast to find all these
Yeah.
amazing spots.
That's exactly what I do. I'll see some name and it'll say something beach, and I'm like, what is that? And I'll just go that way. Sometimes it's blocked off, sometimes it's not, but I'll drive. I'm the kind that I'll drive down that and just go see what it looks like. And
Yeah.
I might just drive through the first time, but I'm usually planning on if I feel like there's a vibe there, then I'll come back another time or the next day
Hmm.
and post up.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, there's so many different, um, yeah, different spots with different vibes, and it's
Yeah.
I it's been a few years since I've been to Southern California. So like I've been to Huntington Beach, and a long time ago I went to Santa Monica, but all the other famous surf spots I haven't been to yet down there. So I'll have to make my way down there.
Yeah, I actually, the first time I ever actually rode away was in Huntington. Like
Oh,
I had been trying for, I think like 6, 7 months, and I had not the best teachers not the best teachers who knew how to um, teach a voluptuous woman with curves how to pop up on a wave because my body structure is different, and especially after raising children and my job and stuff. So it took me a long time, but the first time I remember I was at Huntington Beach, and I was in a lot of guys' way, and I remember they were arguing, they were hollering at me, and no, I'm the kind that you can't holler at me too many times. You can't, because I'm gonna say, but this particular day, I just said I apologize. I just wasn't even feeling like I wanted to, be into it. I'm like, I apologize, my fault, my bad. And the next thing I know, maybe there was like, this is a freeway and you have to be mindful of the freeway. You have to look both ways before you go, this and that. And I was just nice about it. And like 30, 40 minutes later, they gave me my own section sandbar. Like I had my own sandbar to myself. And I got to ride. I mean, I think I caught like 40 waves that day. Nobody got in my way, nothing. They just let me have that, and I had the best time ever.
Wow, that is awesome.
So it was pretty fun.
So so originally you were in the hair industry?
Yes, I am still in the beauty industry, in the hair industry. Been a hairstylist for 30 years.
Wow.
I'm
And
part-time now.
you part-time, and then the other time that you spent is dedicated to more of the editing and author and producing work that you
Yes, yes. Like this is surfing, editing, all the things I'm doing now is actually the first hobby or change I've had outside of what I've done for 30 years because being a hairstylist, like I live, breathe, and ate hair. Like I traveled around the US teaching people how to do hair. I wrote 2 books in the hair industry. I've won city, state, and world titles. I've been in over a dozen magazines. I did a lot of people behind the scenes and reality shows and stuff like that. So coming here, I wanted a beach life, and I loved water because I love to swim. And so I just wanted something. I wanted a hobby that was outside of hair because my whole life seriously was nothing but the hair business. I was completely obsessed. Which is not a bad stretch of why I'm so obsessed with the surf world. I guess once I'm into it, I'm into it. I'm completely dedicated. This is it. And the editing came in because when I first started, I just wanted to document my process because I had always had a camera anyway, being that I work behind the scenes with on magazine shoots, lifestyle shoots with and campaigns with producers or photographers, videographers, and editors already. So I had already had the knowledge of what to do and the whole beauty aspect and imagery of doing stuff like that. So when I started, at 44 years old, my first time in the ocean, and then at 45, I started surfing. I just said, you know what? I'm feeling good about my life. This is a great time. Let me document my process for myself. And you're trying to get those kinks out of actually knowing how to edit and put stuff on YouTube and so studying and stuff like that. And because I had already had that background, I knew how to, shoot myself, on camera and yeah, it just became a self journey, and it inspired other people to watch me and go along with my journey. And as I was doing that, I started meeting people along the way, other people who look like me. And I wanted to document their stories because I felt like, wow, we need this legacy. In the U.S., particularly in the U.S., the depiction of Black people have not always been, have been stereotypically biased. And of course, we know this goes all the way back to when television began with blackface and the mammy characters and stuff like that. So, over the years, although television imagery media has evolved, it's still very archaic and one-sided. And I just felt like, wow, I want to definitely make sure that we have this legacy. So as I was surfing with people, I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, let me video you too, video myself, video you too. This is great. And, some people didn't like it. In fact, I had a lot of pushback in the beginning.
Mm.
Like, no, people like was arguing with me. Friends fell out with me for videoing them. They're like, "Oh, you just trying to do this for show." And I'm like, "Hey, this is important. I think this is a legacy. I mean, how many black surfers do we actually see?" And so, fast forward, um, 5 years after that, some of them came back to me and was like, "You know what? Looking at your videos now, I thank you for, doing that, because I would have never had those memories." So majority of people still talk to me and thank me. I still have some that never talk to me again, but now, that it is what it is.
Yeah. Wow. So how then did that um how did you go from starting to film other people to founding the first Indigenous Beach Culture Film Festival, highlighting films from around the world? So how did that process go?
I wanted to, well, that was from me. I've always watched every documentary on surfing because I love this whole culture. I loved, learning everything from the culture. Hey, how y'all doing? I loved just learning everything that surf culture was about. The aloha spirit and the freedom, just feeling this freedom and this healing in the water. And so as I was searching on YouTube and watching videos on, documentaries on Netflix and Amazon and all the other platforms they show them, I noticed there was, just a common theme that we're definitely underrepresented. And when I did see surf documentaries or videos with people of color in it, it was always us as the backdrop. Like you definitely see, some badass male surfer, white male surfer, and he gets the call that the waves are going off in this, in Africa or Tahiti or some exotic place where, you know, um, black or brown people live, and then it shows the people and it shows where they live in the community, and you hear the music, but it's all about this one white guy on the waves. And so after watching so many of them, it kind of make you want to puke. As a black woman, it makes you want to puke. You're like, for real, this is like I'm 250th in, and I'm still seeing this same scenario. And the women, with women is no different. You still get like a younger white girl that's surfing, and I mean they don't even have like a spectrum of white women. It's like, these, it's like it's almost some perversion there. With, it's like the young surfer girl that's barely, like coming through puberty, and they have either hurt on the wave or they have these, extra masculine white guys on the wave. And I was just like, there's something here that we should, that needs to be done. And I was just like, I love films. Why don't I just put on an Indigenous Beach Culture Film Festival to, invite Indigenous people of color all over the world to just show how they do the beach, show how they do their culture, show what the culture means to them. And our first one was pretty bomb. We had some really high level films. Like these people did not come to play. Like it looked like they had teams behind them, Now, the films were fantastic, and it was pretty exciting. Like every time I would go through one and look at it, it was like I was like screaming here, and I'm like getting teary-eyed, like, oh my God, I'm doing this. This is cool that these people are in this, film festival. And I'm hoping that it just continually evolve to where we can define the culture too. We can define our own niche in this culture, you know?
Mhm.
Because I think the culture right now is all over the place. I mean, I feel like we've gotten away from the aloha, actually. In the US anyway, we've gotten away from the aloha spirit of what surfing is. And it's definitely more competitive. You feel it on the water, you know, the etiquette. You know, you have all these surf teachers that are not even including surf etiquette and what the culture is supposed to signify and how this is a way of life to do things differently.
Mhm.
And it's like outside of the norm of the matrix. You're supposed to tap out of the matrix and tap into a different world that cares about the environment, self-aware, self-realization, love, getting, you know, the next person's back where you don't see color. Well, I don't want to say color, but you appreciate your diversity, but you all have something to bring. You leave the earth better than you found it. And there's some things that need to be, you know, what do you call it? Repurposed, redesigned, and and recreated and rebranded. So this is just my little niche in what I feel like, you know, what was put on my heart to do.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Just people like you are so motivating because, you know, who else puts on an Indigenous film festival with people from all those countries and different backgrounds and cultures? That's what I've strived to do on my page in interviewing people.
Yeah.
I've tried to interview, yeah, the people that no one has ever heard of before because
Yes.
their stories are so unique and different and genuine. So
And
when,
isn't it fascinating? Because I mean, we live in a world now where there's so many interesting, fascinating people out there. But with this media manipulation and the way things go, and it depends on, you know, how much money people are putting behind things,
mhm,
and what kind of privilege they've had or entitlement they've had, you know, they're able to um, you keep the algorithm going towards them when there's so many great stories out there. And personally, me, I love a lot of diversity. I get tired of seeing the same person over and over again doing the same damn thing. Like,
mhm,
I'm like, are you a robot? Are you a drone? Are you a zombie? Like, do you have anything else creative to do?
mhm,
So this is, I like that too. I like, and that's why I wanted this to call it Indigenous beach culture, because I didn't just want it to be about, you know, black beach culture or brown. I wanted indigenous, like what is native to you? What is indigenous to you? What does that actual culture look like? You know?
mhm.
And what is your story? What is your vibe? And there's so many great stories out there and, you know, things to do. So yeah, that's I'm glad you're doing it too. I do like your post and all the different people and yeah, that makes the world a lot more um colorful. That we
Mhm.
get to see different people instead of the same people over and over again. This is why I don't even like watching TV, because you see the same actors over and over again. Like, you know, what is the point of a casting director if you're going to have the same people all the time? Like,
Mhm.
it's really weird culture
Yeah,
to me.
exactly.
To me, anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally see that. And it's, yeah, it's just too bad that so many different aspects of our life
Hi,
has
Ray.
missed that diversity and that inclusion, and as a result, they miss out on a lot of really special and beautiful things. So to be able to bring that to the forefront is so it's just so beautiful. I know for me personally,
Mhm.
I enjoy it so much because of the lessons that I learned from each individual that I never would have learned otherwise. I never would have learned these things otherwise.
I totally agree with that. I mean, and thank you. I love that too, because it's like you get, even if you can't travel, It's like being able to travel. You get to see how other people live and what others' perspectives are. And the more open you are to other ways of being, other ways of living, it really is, it benefits the whole planet. It benefits us all as a collective, you know, and it tears down and dismantles those racial biases and stereotypes that mainstream media has depicted so long, and we've had to fight to change those things. And it wasn't until social media that these things are starting to change, and we can have our subcultures now and show, hey, other people are living different. We are not all the same, you know?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's just amazing. People like you that have been able to put in the work and reaching out to other people to bring all of these beautiful stories to the forefront is so inspiring.
Thank
So,
you.
what have you done since that film festival to pursue your next goals?
I am still recruiting. I'm always recruiting. So, I talk to people like, hey, the film festival's coming up soon, another year, you know, work on get your camera work together or whatever. And I just healed from a rotator cuff shoulder injury. I had a dislocated shoulder years ago, and it wasn't properly healed. I didn't have the right physical therapist, and in fact, the doctor let me stay in a room too long before they put it back in place. And so it's always been something wrong with it. So this time I had to wait like 8 months of being able to recuperate. So I just was focusing on that recuperation, and now I'm surfing and just learning how to surf again, because after you have a shoulder injury, you're kind of popping up different, and you're trying to figure it out and how to strengthen the shoulders and take time. So yeah, I'm just always editing, making vlogs on my YouTube channel, and just becoming a better editor, a better vlogger, and going back and forth between um, documenting myself and other people. It's hard. It's actually hard documenting people. People can be not open, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. So that
Do
film
you go through
fest.
that with interviews? Like,
I mean, so I've interviewed like 280.
oh wow,
I think. I think
you're
I have
getting it in.
287. But the amount of people that I've DM'd since I started in 2019, if all of those people responded, then I probably would have had like 3,000 interviews.
Yes, yes.
So,
I can definitely relate. Yeah.
so of course, when I started, I mean, I knew that, hey, probably no one's going to respond. Like, why would they respond to me? I'm a nobody in the surf world, you know? And then the very first person that responded with Eric Geiselman, who's a surfer on the QS. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I remember reading about him when I was a teenager, like 15 years ago, on surfing
Wow.
magazines. So maybe this will lead to something if I stick with it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I've just stuck with it. So currently, I've interviewed 287 people from 38 countries.
Wow, that is actually very impressive. Wow.
Yeah, so it's something that I've become majorly passionate about, and in the future, I want to do something very similar to you. Is
Mm-hmm.
creating films and books and bringing these stories to life so other people can hear about it. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another reason why interviewing you. It's such a privilege.
Well,
But
we can
yeah,
always work together.
that sounds
I'm all for the collabs.
that would be amazing. So looking forward to the future, do you have any specific goals in mind?
Any specific goals? I don't really talk about my goals to people out loud. I just get them done.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
I'm always, I'm always just trying to become a better version of who I was last year. Like what areas I always look at myself as what areas can I continually express my authentic self of who I am as a person, and what areas have I seen that have held me back? What areas that I'm completely comfortable with that makes me happy? What makes my heart light up? So I always just start from there. Like, what can I do next? I mean, I've raised 3 children. I have 5 grandchildren. I've been able to move out of the projects of Detroit and went to the suburbs of Las Vegas, and then I wanted a beach life here in California. I've done that. So who knows? Maybe a bomb roller skater. I don't know. But I always definitely check in with my higher self and God, and and just tap in that awareness and ask my higher self, how can I become more of who I am, more of my authentic self, and what is it mine authentically to give? What is my purpose? And sometimes that purpose is just to give to myself. I feel like we all have different seasons of, sometimes it's time to give to people. Sometimes it's time to hibernate. Sometimes it's time to, tap into your spiritual side. Different things, so I can't say I have any particular goals at the time that I'm not already working on.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, ain't nobody's business. No.
Exactly. That's awesome. It's always the people that you don't hear about their goals because they're so busy working on them, and then
Yeah.
later you see all these beautiful things that they accomplish, and then you look back and you're like, wow, that person put in years of work. So I will be very excited to see what you create and document and produce next.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all about that word, creativity.
Your
It's
work
just
to
about
this
tapping
point has
into our
been
own
beautiful.
creativity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because even with that word creativity, like I never imagined that I would become a surfer. Like if somebody had told me this 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was in my, 30s back in Detroit, if somebody had told me that I was going to be a surfer, I'd have been like, stop smoking that crack. You are crazy. You done lost your mind. I'm going that way because your head is messed up. So we don't ever know what we're going to become or what we're going to do in life. But as long as we, just tap into that creativity, what's mine? What am I creative with? And always just doing that inner work to find out what's uniquely ours and purposeful, like you doing 200 interviews and ask 3,000. That's a lot of determination. I mean, 3,000 people, half of those, more than half turning you down. There's something innately in you, that intention in you, and that purposeful drive. That was already yours to give. And that's why 200 later, that's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's a privilege to be able to learn from you and all of the beautiful work you've done. Thank you so much for all of it.
I appreciate it.
Yes, and I hope that you have a wonderful evening, and I will look forward to see what comes next.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Thank you. Me too.
Yeah. It'll be beautiful for sure, because the work that you do touches so many people's lives. So thank you again so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great evening.
You too. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. So that interview was with Mimi Miller, and I will post this interview on my Instagram so you can take a look back at it later. And it was really a great privilege to be able to learn from her. She has done so much. She's a writer, producer, and she shares other people's stories like me, and that's so inspiring. And so it was a great privilege for me to learn from her. Thank you so much for joining and for watching this interview.